Shalom. Kol Halo Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Makakudash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers, the 144,000, the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathen that looks like those heathen, the Israelite foreigners, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson of truth. And this is just me skillfully adding to the beloved brother Elder Manak Zakba's video. I highly suggest you go watch it. It's on the screen, name of the video and where you can find it. So please don't ask him on the comment board. All right, but he goes into some great points, and I'm going to touch on a few of the same things and just and add to it, because this is and specifically, well, the flee Babylon is completely going off, because how are you fleeing if you're getting deliverance? All right, you got to wait. The Lord said wait on him. I mean, that's simple. So I'm not even going to say much more about that. I want to focus more on the 400 years doctrine, and it is, and they're both are going off. And that 400 years doctrine, when you see that, what that really is that's that BOI garbage, that black only Israelites. All right, because they don't acknowledge the slavery of the Northern Kingdom, and the Northern Kingdom slavery started 100 years before the Southern Kingdom. All right, by the same people. That's why Jeremiah 15 and hold on, let me go to it. 50 and 33. Salaki, I'm fighting the cold. Esau been spraying that madness in the sky like crazy over Chicago these last couple weeks. I mean, really, really heavily. And I just knew as soon as it rains or snows, people going to start getting all clogged up, snot nose and whatever. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Good news is that Texas, remember the Civil War, Texas is seceding. Texas is leading the charge right now. Texas is, I think they're signing a bill to stop the planes from flying over their state. All right. And I think Tennessee may follow. So that division, man, is coming. But yeah, let me find the script. This is Jeremiah 50 and 33. And it reads, "Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel," all right, "and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." And the one place where the northern and southern kingdom was held captive together and never let go was here in Babylon, here in America. All right, what I'm holding in my hand is Mayor K. Serling's book. Let's look at Mayor K. Serling. Mayor K. Serling, he was a rabbi and a historian. And in this book over here, to the right, all right, he wrote this book, Christopher Columbus and the Participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese Discoveries. And then there's more books that he wrote. But that one is very important, because it basically gives you the evidence that Christopher Columbus knew that the Israelites were here in America. Christopher Columbus came because on page 94 through 100 is all about the Israelites and Louis de Torres. Louis de Torres is one of the 5 Hebrew interpreters he brought. All right, so that he was looking for a shortcut to India. That is a convenient lie, control narrative that they tried to make up. He came over with 5 Hebrew interpreters. All right. The Israelites were here in America. The oldest form, the Phoenician form of Hebrew, was found here in America, which would have proved their Israelite heritage, and Mayor K. Serling knew that. Hence the reason why in the late 1800s, what's his name? Eliezer ben Yehudi changed the Hebrew. He added all those dots and all those things and was using the Assyrian script. All right. Because if they would have used the Phoenician Hebrew, the ancient Paleo Hebrew, it would have been too obvious as to who these people were here in Americas, and they wouldn't have been able to justify the genocide and the theft of the land claiming to be Christians and Jewish, knowing that these people are the people of the Lord. So instead of admitting that, they hid who they were, and they committed genocide on them, and sold many of them into slavery. Many of them also went into slavery on the same slave ships as the Negroes. There's records of it. All right. And so the transatlantic slave trade did not start in 1619. It started when Cristobal Colon, aka Christopher Columbus, sailed. But let's read page 95. It says, Louis de Torres, the first European who discovered the use of tobacco, was also first person of Jewish stock who settled in Cuba. He won favor of the ruler, Kaki, and received from him presents, not merely land, but also slaves, 5 adults, a child, a king. The king and queen of Spain granted him a yearly allowance of 8,645 maravedis. I guess that was the money. And he died in the newly discovered land. All right, let me jump down to this. To what race did these aboriginals in America belong? Several writers, number of completion, most of them were Jewish and historians. Several writers have asserted that they have displayed much learning in attempting to prove that the Aborigines were descendants of the Jews, all right, or the Israelites, okay? His argument was derived from unpublished manuscript, which he also discovered in, turn to page 96. The Library of San Paulo Seville Montesinos, who possessed manuscripts of Luis Lopez and learned Bishop of Quito, who convinced the Peruvians were of Jewish origin. All right, so man, come on, man. It says the view of Rodin and Greco Garcia that the Aboriginals of America were descendants of the Jews, and maintain the many arguments in one in the same year independently that the Englishman Thorogood and by the Portuguese Jew Manasseh ben Israel, renowned rabbi Amsterdam, who induced Cromwell to allow Jews to return to England. A Portuguese Moreno, meaning he was a so-called black man from Portugal, who was also an Israelite, of the Villafort, who strange to say also called himself Montesinos. The account of Montesinos is found in another book that's behind me on the shelf that was going for $10,000 once upon a time. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. Okay, it says, afterwards assumed the name of Aaron Levi, informed Manasseh that he had mingled in South America with Jews, the 10 tribes. Manasseh's book attracted much attention and was translated into Latin, Spanish, Dutch, English, Italian, and Hebrew. All right, nor has the interest in it ceased even at this present day. So this was in the 1800s. People were reading and wanted this book. This is a reprint, all right, of those books. So the point being, the evidence is overwhelming, okay, because this matches up with prophecy in the in the Bible. As a matter of fact, it speaks about it on page 15 in this book. It says, who was very fond of reading the Bible and the 4th book of Ezra, meaning the 2nd book of Ezra, all right, 13 and 40, all right, which was probably written by, it was written by an Israelite, by a Judean, who lived outside of Palestine. According to his own assertion, the incentive that impelled him to plan his discoveries was not the love of science, but the interpretation of the prophecies of Isaiah. In Portugal, Columbus earnestly conceived the idea of making maritime discoveries by the way of the West. They knew that the Israelites had come here to the Americas. The Israelites knew the way here because of Solomon's navy and Solomon's servant and friend who worked for Solomon, the Mason dude. What's his name? Now I can't think of his name. The Hamite. All right, that was in control of his navy that made that three-year trip. Took him a year and a half to come to America and a year and a half to get back. Hence the reason why when you read 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, matter of fact, let me just grab it. Let me go to it. Because that's what that's all about. You know, like I said, that's that BOI, that black only Israelites garbage, trying to match a prophecy that already happened when we left Egypt the first time. Okay, spiritual Egypt, we're going to get beamed up onto the chariots, those of us who make it out of here. All right, if you're not beamed up on those chariots and you're on the ground anywhere in Babylon upon the return of Yahushua, you dust. You're going to be turned to dust. You'll be burned up. All right, if you even live that long, if you don't get eaten by dogs, wild beasts, or shot down by the troops when all the race wars and the riots and the chaos starts, if you even make it that far. All right, but many of you are going to live through that. The Lord's going to make you extra suffer because you're going to live through all that, suffer through that, and only to get burned up. All right, which is fitting for most of you. What was I going to? Oh, yeah, 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. And it reads, and those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land at the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive and carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. And remember, these and they were using the Assyrian script at that time. But as soon as they got here to America, all the writings you found from them were their own script, the ancient Phoenician script. All right, and this was a northern kingdom that was in Assyrian captivity. The Jews never were. So how is it that the Jews today are writing in the Assyrian script, when all the evidence shows you that the Jews, the Judeans, the southern kingdom, were still using the Phoenician ancient Hebrew upon the fall of Jerusalem and during the time of the Roman rule over them? They weren't using the Assyrian script. So, I always tell you that the evidence, that the fact that they use that script is evidence of their fraud, because they were trying to hide and separate themselves from the natives and all these different authors that were writing in the 16, 17, 1800s, that these people here, these natives, were Israelites. And the Israelites that were here, when you find the relics were written in the Phoenician Hebrew. And they were keeping Hebrew customs. It's too much evidence to, that is still around. But it says, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land, which was the Americas, and they took counsel among themselves. All right, and it said that they will leave the multitude of the heathen and go into a further country where never mankind had dwelt. And all the rabbis, they referred to America as Asareth, which is that other land. They're saying they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places in the river. For the Most High showed them signs, and they held still the flood till they were passed over. So basically, they came out of from the river. All right, they came down into the into the Arabian or Indian Ocean, leaving the Southwest Asia, which they fraudulently call the Middle East. They went down south between Madagascar and Africa, went around the Horn of Africa and over into the Americas. And that's why it took them a year and a half to do it. All right? And the Lord guided them there the whole time. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places in the river, for the Most High showed signs and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth. And once again, in many Jewish publications, they identify America as Asareth. So they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the so-called Native Americans were the 10 tribes of Israel, and they came here to the Americas. which voids out this madness of this 400-year, the 400-year false prophecy, because they started trading Judah here in 1619. And so in 2019, that made the 400 years. Well, we haven't been delivered. And you have to add on, it wasn't just about the southern kingdom, it was about the whole of Israel. And the whole of it, and the northern kingdom had been in captivity under Esau almost 100 years before the southern kingdom. It's as simple as that. And so these people trying to just come up and do things leaning on their own understanding, and that was going to lead you to death, man. This is Proverbs 14 and 2. 14 and 12, and it says, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So you keep coming up with these crazy doctrines and keep trying to get around the prophecies and get around the scriptures and lean into your own understanding. As a matter of fact, let's go to Ezra on that. Ezra 14:34. And it reads, therefore, if so be it, if you will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, meaning your minds, ye shall be kept alive, and after death you shall obtain a mercy. You shall obtain mercy. So lean not into your own understanding, and you'll get mercy, and you'll actually get the understanding if the Lord is dealing with you. You know, they try to fit things together that don't fit together. Right? You know, that whole Genesis 15 and 3. 15 and 3. Yeah, and Abram, and it says, what's it, 15 and 13? Yeah. 15 and 13. And it reads, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Right? That happened in Egypt already, and we left Egypt paid. You know, the elder brought that out. This is Psalms like 137, somewhere around. Let me go to that. 105 and 37. All right, Psalms. Let's go find that real quick. All right, because, you know, like he said in the video, we left Israel with great substance. All right. So let's go here. Yeah, 37. Psalms 105 and 37. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. All 12 tribes came out of there, and we left out of there with fat pockets. Okay. And it says, and Egypt was glad that when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. He spread a cloud for a covering and a fire to give light in the night. And the people asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with bread of heaven. He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran into the dry place like a river. He remembered his holy promise and Abraham his servant. And he brought forth the people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labors of the people. All right. And they observed his statutes and kept his laws, and praise ye Yahweh. All right. Because our people definitely aren't keeping the laws. And we don't have riches and wealth right now collectively. Okay. But this next deliverance is going to be far greater than that one. This one is going to be far greater. All right, which means that the Bible is going to be expanded, because you have to understand the story of what was done on this side with the reawakening, with the awakening of the Israelites and the men that stood stiffly before the faces of them that hated them. All right, that's the Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, and how Esau is being exposed on every level. All right, Isaiah 14 and 2 has got to happen. Let's get that. That's how you know we haven't been delivered yet. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. This is how you know that the people in the land of Israel, this is another way that they're frauds. All right, because they would have slaves and dwell in peace and safety alone, not be fighting wars and in need of a military and an iron dome and, you know, in a whole other country. Look, Israel couldn't even exist without America and Britain. All right. We wouldn't depend on man. The Lord's going to do it all. But it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to the place of the house of Israel, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors. All right, so these colonizing oppressors, we're going to rule over them, right? And it's going to be the most brutal slavery, in the history of mankind, because they're going to get back double what they did to us. And when you study, that's why they don't like the history we brought out about it, because they could call it critical race theory instead of the critical race historical facts like it is. Like and subscribe. All right, let's go let's get one last scripture, because this is what happens in the end after leaving the world behind. All right, this is what happens. This is Revelation 13:9, and it reads, "If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." Who was given a great sword? Esau, Edom. Revelation 6:4 was given unto him a great sword. That's how he ruled over all the nations in much wickedness and unrighteousness. And now his time is up. All right. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The saints are patiently suffering, patiently and waiting to put into slavery those that put us into slavery. That's the end. This is Revelation, end game. All right, so with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Makakwadash, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.